season. 2 days ago, the Nittany Lions rolled over Rutgers with surgical precision. Mac O'Keefe is their long-distance threat, while Colby Knies stops the enemy cold. Johns Hopkins staged a second-half rally for the ages Thursday, dismissing Maryland. Pat Foley blankets your best weapon, then Joey Epstein unleashes from every angle. Just 2 weeks ago, Penn State crushed Hopkins, with Grant Ament the marquee man. 1 year ago, Cole Williams delivered a Big Ten title for the Blue Jays, who chase this again on BTN. Winner take all from Piscataway, New Jersey. This is the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament. Tonight, the second-seeded Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, ready to rumble for the conference crown. Stepping into a rematch with the #1 team in the country, the Penn State Nittany Lions, an offensive powerhouse. This tournament bracket is brought to you by Meyer. Back on Thursday, the Nittany Lions dented the hopes of host Rutgers in the first semifinal. Then Hopkins would advance to the title game by knocking off Maryland for the second time in a week. It is so great to see you again. Alongside Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. Johns Hopkins was not proud of its first meeting with Penn State. So, Mark, what excites you the most about this rematch?
This is a reborn lacrosse team, and the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays are playing much tougher on the defensive end, more efficient on the offensive end, playing with a sense of urgency. That rejuvenation, that better be for real, because they're playing Penn State tonight, an offensive juggernaut, and the #1 team in the country. Can't wait to watch this game.
Penn State has the highest scoring offense in the nation. One thing that you are going to notice, however, it's their aggressive defense that gets the offense started.
Complete is the word that people use to describe this Penn State lacrosse team, and you're going to see the example of complete in this video clip. Aggressive and physical. This is a defense that slides quickly in every situation. They dare you to run by them. They dare you to pass around them. And when the ball gets hit onto the ground, maybe no better team in the country is better than the Penn State Nittany Lions at picking up the carpet, getting it upfield, and starting transition. When they do, you better account for #3, Mac O'Keefe, the sharpshooter for the Nittany Lions, because if you don't find him, #1, Grant Ament, the assist maestro, will, and this Penn State team will burn you in transition, and I can't wait to see him in 6-on-6 as well.
Meanwhile, Blue Jay attackman Cole Williams, he isn't afraid to draw a crowd.
One of the adjustments Hopkins has made offensively is putting Williams, the big attackman, up top. And when he dodges, like Penn State does slide, look at Maryland. All eyes are on #14. He's a great shooter, and he can get to the goal, but then when he feeds it inside, he shows off his vision. Williams versus this Penn State defense is a matchup must-see here in the Big Ten Championship.
Time for us to introduce you to the goalies. Blue Jays run with Ryan Darby, the sophomore stopper from Texas, who showed a lot of character battling off the ropes in the semifinal win over the Terrapins. Penn State, they're going to counter with second-team all-conference keeper Colby Knies, another netminder from the Lone Star State. This guy is flashy in the crease and a very, very good transition starter. Delicate outlet passes come from his cross rather routinely. The officials, P.J. Colello, Mike Himpey, and Tim McCaffrey. Penn State, the #1 team in the land at 13-1. They are in the all-white. Johns Hopkins in the all-Columbia blue. Arceri and Prouty get things going at the face-off X. And it is Prouty who comes up with the game's first ground ball. Johns Hopkins settles in. Hopkins downed by Penn State on Easter Sunday, 20-9, looking for a payback in mind.
Again, this is a rejuvenated, reborn Hopkins team. Good to get the first possession. Prouty gave way to Matt Naruski, excuse me, in the semifinals for the most part, and the game a week ago against Maryland.
From the severe angle, Marr's bid was deflected. It'll stay Johns Hopkins ball. Just getting going in this Big Ten Tournament Championship game. Card deal affixed to Cole Williams at the outset.
Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, Chris Sabia, matching up with the Freshman of the Year, Joey Epstein, who's been unconscious in the last 2 games for Johns Hopkins.
Concannon throws back for Forey Smith. Smith not able to get the alley as Cardeal forces him away. Williams running by his defender, the short stick D-man Burns. Williams lets it go! He scores!
He had 5 in the championship game last year. And this is what we talked about in the video open. Cole Williams up top is a matchup problem. He gets cycled onto a short stick. Look at Tommy Wright. Good approach. Nice defense. But Cole Williams, what he's doing a much better job of is having his stick up ready to either feed or shoot. So many times, it might sound weird, but for a 6'5" guy, he wasn't ready to shoot when he comes out of dodges. He was ready right there, whips it past Knies. Great start for the Blue Jays.
The 100th point in his career. Cole Williams gets himself on the board. Second team all-conference attackman. As this ball begins with Penn State's first offensive touch. Off the violation. Jack Kelly wears 25 in the wide heel exchange with TJ Malone. Malone, who had a bang-up semifinal against Rutgers, scoring 4 times on 5 shots.
Now we'll see Patrick Foley against Grant Ament. Nice double.
The early help coming from Hubler. Ament, undaunted, picks up Malone. Malone wraps around and scores.
TJ Malone had a quiet, cool 4 goals in the semifinal win against Rutgers. Look at him run to space, and he doesn't receive the initial feed, but watch him keep moving. And that's great off-ball play by TJ Malone to get himself in a position to receive the ball from Ament. He squares up to his defender, he recognizes a short stick, and he dusts Matt Hubler coming around top side, throws it far post, and the Nittany Lions answer the initial punch from the Blue Jays.
TJ Malone among the top 7 in terms of shooting percentage this season, shooting an ungodly 47%, has markers in 8 of his last 9, and we are 1-1 right off the jump with Penn State in possession.
We saw last night in the Patriot League semifinals, Johnny Surdick, All-American from Army, went one-on-one with Pat Spencer and dominated that matchup. You don't hear those 2 words, defense dominating, against Pat Spencer too often. Hopkins is going to employ the similar strategy that they did a couple of weeks ago. Foley has been a different player in the 2 wins against Maryland. We'll see how he does against the offensive player in the Big Ten. Offensive player of the year in the Big Ten, and Grant Ament.
A unanimous choice. He's picked up by short stick defender here, Danny Jones. O'Keefe rockets and scores.
This is where Penn State will eat your lunch. The switch onto Ament with a 2-man game. Danny Jones is the one that steps out. How you don't account for number 3 in white is beyond me. You always have to know where Mac O'Keefe is, because if you don't, and Grant Ament recognizes him, and he steps down like this from about 10 yards, it's going to be a long night for the Blue Jays.
Ament, approaching a national record for assists in a single season, finds his favorite target there, Mac O'Keefe. Coach Tambroni likes the start so far for the Nittany Lions. After spotting Cole Williams and the Jays the 1-0 advantage, Arceri tries to pop this draw free away from Prouty. It's down on the deck. Right to the goal! And a slam dunk. Kevin Fox makes it 3 in a row for Penn State.
A pole goal, and an unlikely one as well. Not quite sure what happened with this ball. We'll check out the replay. It's almost a little peekaboo by Kevin Fox. You've got basically what equates to a rugby scrum. After Arceri comes out with it, Prouty kicks it into the defensive end. Look at this. Everyone is clustered around, and Kevin Fox just picks it up. He runs through with a big boy ground ball. Throws his stick up into the air. Thinks it's maybe women's lacrosse. They're going to check his stick. He doesn't score many goals. It's legal, Mr. Referee, and I got a marker in the Big Ten final.
Kevin Fox, whose sister Jennifer played 4 seasons at Johns Hopkins. Well, it's 3-1 Penn State. Lacrosse on BTN is brought to you by T-Mobile. Whether you're home or away, T-Mobile has you covered. And by Vivid Seats, the official resale marketplace of the Big Ten Conference. Download the Vivid Seats app today. Beautiful 66-degree night on a Saturday here at highpoint.com Stadium. Jeff Tambroni in his 9th season pushing the buttons in Happy Valley. 13-1 against Dave Petramala and the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Dave Petramala, Mark, was insisting that his team had to be disruptive tonight. Get Penn State out of its offensive rhythm.
Without a doubt, and that's easier said than done, and I think Coach Petramala recognized it. We've seen this quick microwave-type offense that heats up very quickly for the Nittany Lions. They got 3 in quick succession, and they're hungry for some more.
Arceri just beat Matt Naruski at the face-off X. Could see as many as 3 different X-Men for the Blue Jays tonight. Prouty, Naruski, and brother Wes Naruski also more than likely tangling with the Gerard Arceri and Jake Glatz before the night is through. 3 unanswered for the guys in the white jerseys. It's 3-1 for the #1 ranked team in the land.
Well, we'll see what Hopkins has coming out of the timeout that they called. Early timeout burned by Petramala, but he figures he's got to settle these guys down because 3-1 can become 6-1, 9-1, 12-1 very, very fast.
Ament picked up behind the cage by Colwell. Butts into his defender, comes back for the question mark. Good lift check there on the defensive end by Owen Colwell. Jones trying to nudge the Nittany line out of bounds, didn't do it. Unsettled, bring it this way for Trainer. Jump shot off the iron from Spillane, and this one rattles out of bounds.
This is Penn State's offense in a nutshell. Look how fast that ball whips around the perimeter from stick to stick. Stays in there only a beat, and Ament is the facilitator. He is the tone setter. That ball will not stay in a stick longer in situations for more than a beat or 2.
Nittany Lions put 18 on host Rutgers on Thursday, the most ever in a Big Ten tournament game. Trainer was there to provide. This man didn't cash in. Folds looking to Spillane. Kuhn out to 10 to him. O'Keefe has the short stick defender on him. That's Danny Jones. Little swim move. O'Keefe loves his left. Skip it over the top for Spillane. Halfway through the 80-second shot clock.
A good job by keeping O'Keefe, funneling him, not letting him come back to that left.
Ament will bring it back in off the end line. Dylan Foles, first game all year without a tally. That convincing win over the Scarlet Knights. Trainer rolling back, picked up by Hubler. Spillane angles in, shot clock at 15. Around the screen set by Ament, he looks for Foles, but that one's off of his cross. Shot clock at 8 for O'Keefe. A long way from the cooker. Shot clock at 3, going to the goal. He scores. And they will count it. This BTN standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance. Compliments of Mac O'Keefe.
You have got to know that O'Keefe is a lefty. You have got to take away top side, but then you've got to squeeze. You know that Mac O'Keefe is allergic to his right hand. He's not coming right. He gets underneath, he walks the dog, and then look at the launch. Away from the goal mouth, away from the goaltender. The new dive rule, that was a perfect dive by Mac O'Keefe, and he gets that 4th goal for Penn State with only about 4 seconds left in the shot clock.
14 multi-goal games for O'Keefe this season. Tallies in 22 straight. On his career, he is already the all-time leading goal scorer in Penn State men's lacrosse history. As the Nittany Lions are off to a sharp shooting percentage, what else is new for a team that's collectively better than 40%?
And we've been saying it now for going on 2 years. Mac O'Keefe is not just a catch and shoot guy. He's a guy that has improved his ball carrying skills, his lacrosse intelligence. He understands when he gets underneath of guys, he's coming back to that left. He is not throwing the ball behind the cage when he gets above goal, down at goal line extended.
Evan Zinn will run with it back behind the cage on offense now for the Blue Jays. Johns Hopkins struck first. 4 unanswered for Penn State in a little bit more than 3 minutes. Keogh against the defender Bobby Burns. Loops it there. Quick drive. Score! A wicked snap release from Kyle Marr.
We talked about Penn State and their early aggressive slides. This is a prime example. Look at Keogh. No reason really to go here if you're Nick Cardeal. No one's beat. And then look at that presence and communication. I guarantee you Kyle Marr is being like, right over your head. gets it to him, and Marr, the sharpshooter, tattoos the upper 90 with a rocket, and that is a big goal for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays.
Marr, who led Johns Hopkins with 41 markers a season ago, gets his 27th on the campaign. We were talking with Dave Petramali. He said there's been times when Epstein, the fabulous freshman, and Marr and Williams have been all clicking at different times, but rarely all together. As Matt Naruski wins the draw, goes right to the cage. He bounced it wide of Colby Knies.
I like the lockdown of those Penn State defenders, making Naruski go to the cage. Nice offering, but you're right. Kyle Marr has been a little quiet in the 2 wins against Maryland. Not a ton of production, but that's okay because Epstein and Williams have been terrific. Forey Smith has been strong. Evan Zinn has been coming along. Alex Concannon has stepped up his game, but that is a big confidence booster to a guy who really is a pulse guy. Kyle Marr is a pulse guy for this Johns Hopkins lacrosse team and one of the captains.
Blue Jays with DeSimone running away from Black. Johns Hopkins, winners of 2 straight, 5 of their last 8 overall. DeSimone takes it for a ride, flips it up top. Marr finessed his way in against McAvoy. Marr waits. Fidgets, finds Williams at the crease, but Cole didn't get a lot of mustard on that shot. The Knies outlet taken on the bounce by McAvoy. Looking for numbers in transition. Fox will feed it. Zip it across. O'Keefe lets it go, and that was blocked before it reached the netminder Darby. Rapine comes up with a scoop, and Marr will assist on the clear.
You don't see that very often with Mac O'Keefe. He almost hitched that shot like he had it initially, didn't like what he saw, and he kind of double pumped it, and that allowed the defender to step in front, knock it down. Great ground ball on the defensive end by Johns Hopkins. That previous feed inside to Cole Williams, that's the example we see when he gets in positions to shoot. Sometimes his stick is not in the right position.
DeSimone swims into the alley, rolls back to the middle. Hawk there on defense by Townsend. If you spend time with Coach Tambroni, he'll tell you that those short stick defensive midfielders, Townsend, Burns, they've really helped a Penn State defense come on like gangbusters. Marr gets flattened there at the crease, and the ball comes up for Knies. Penn State looking on the outlet quickly. It's Braden Peck. Black, who scored in the semifinals, content to dish this one off and get offensive-minded subs on for the Nittany Lions.
Playing against Penn State is akin to playing against the Arkansas Razorback basketball teams from back in the early mid-90s. That 40 minutes of hell, Nolan Richardson used to call it. Not only do they get in your face defensively, offensively, they do not let you catch your breath. It is man-to-man offense, non-stop with this Penn State Nittany Lion team.
Ament back behind the cage. Playing a little 2-man game with Malone setting that screen. Ament trying to serve it over the top. He'll exchange for Nick Spillane. Jones has him. Spillane on the front swing. Here comes the help from Foley. O'Keefe will change the point of attack. Kelly looking cross crease. Nothing there against Hubler. Shot clock at 8. Ament isolates against Jones. Here comes the help. Ament on the feed. O'Keefe fires. That one's from down under. It goes wide as the shot clock expires.
Mac O'Keefe wearing this Hopkins defense out. He's always waving his stick. Ament's first look is always to number 3. He sprays the ball around, and he's equal opportunity, but he's always looking for Mac O'Keefe, particularly in short-time situations like that.
Blue Jay coaching staff, we saw Larry Quinn and Dave Petramala. They say that Penn State plays box lacrosse outdoors.
They get the ball in tight quarters. O'Keefe is the main guy with that, but Folds can handle in tight. And don't forget, we've been talking a lot about the attack. They've got middies that can get to the rack. Spillane, Trainer, Jack Kelly, Cole Willard. This is a group that is incredibly difficult to defend no matter how you slice it.
Zinn with a good separation speed. He fired that one wide on the short side. It's backed up by Williams. A little bit more than 5 minutes with which to work in the opening quarter. College lacrosse on BTN, the Big Ten Men's Tournament Championship game. Baskin up top for Keogh. Keogh gets a step, fires, and scores. Jack Keogh.
This is a prime example of the pep in the step of the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. This is a midfield unit that really isn't going to beat you off the dribble too much. But it's a nice pick. Baskin finds Keogh, and look at the confidence. He just goes right past his defender, gets to the middle of the field, lets it rip, and then takes a shot in the chops. Flag flies after that goal. The way the teams are setting up, Tommy Wright with the illegal body check late hit, and Johns Hopkins is going to have a make-it-take-it situation. Dead ball foul, no face-off. Big goal for the Blue Jays and another big opportunity to tie this up.
Keogh did not have a point against Maryland in the semis. As Wright has a seat in the box, Johns Hopkins goes extra man. They were 1 for 2 against the Terps in that semifinal win. DeSimone on the exchange. Epstein fires, he scores from long distance. This game is tied.
This is akin to a three-point shooter. Getting the ball in a sweet spot. Just a little wheel rotation by the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. There's the wheel, Epstein. Look at him pick a spot right there. Far post, he measures it up. It's almost like the Bionic Man. Ding, 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 ding. Far post, he just drills that bottom corner. That's like James Harden just getting his sweet spot and just letting it fly after just picking the perfect position.
They can rebuild him. Epstein on the verge of a 40-goal campaign. He has set the Johns Hopkins freshman goal-scoring record this season, nudging Terry Reardon from that top spot. Matt Naruski digging in against Arceri on this draw. Out of the pack comes Naruski as the Blue Jays had a 1-0 lead in this game. They watched Penn State roll the next 4 on the board, but now it's a 3 unanswered string for the guys in the blue jerseys.
It was exhausting watching the 2 defensive stands by Johns Hopkins, but the couple of shot clock violations and the defensive holds that Hopkins has gotten has rejuvenated them on the offensive end of the field.
Baskin sends it back behind. Epstein will give it right back. Brett Baskin looking for a passing lane. He'll pick up Williams. Check back behind the goal by Kevin Fox. Wide open, Baskin lets it go. He scores. The Blue Jays are shooting up a storm.
Ton of motion. Credit Hopkins offensive coordinator Bobby Benson. He runs a basketball-style type of offense, which means it doesn't matter where you go on the field. Attackmen are up in the midfield slots, as you can see Calamaro up top. Midfielders are in attack spots, and this is just Baskin getting lost in the wash. And for Colby Knies, for the second team all Big Ten goaltender, he needs to steal one here. He needs to make a save. These are very good shots by Johns Hopkins, but much like we saw Ryan Darby for the Blue Jays struggle in the first quarter against Maryland, Colby Knies is off to a little bit of a rough start.
5-4 for the Blue Jays. Baskin now with a 4-game goal-scoring streak. Arceri in another tussle with Matt Naruski. Reinson is in there, the long stick to help out, and this one comes up for Johns Hopkins and Matt Hubler. Williams is going to run for cover against Cardeal. Williams going to the goal. Attacked now by the Big Ten Defender of the Year, Chris Sabia.
And when they slide Penn State, they're like rabid dogs going after a piece of meat. They come hard and they come quick. You've got to brace yourself for those big checks. Sabia, man, he throws a lot of lumber.
Everybody talks about Penn State's offense. The defense has held 4 of the last 5 opponents under 10 tallies in the game.
Big key to their success this season.
Marr with a nice catch. Williams lets it go, and Knies straightens up to find that. Pops it out there on the fly for Burns. No numbers advantage. Penn State will slow it down and get subs on.
Poor shot location by Cole Williams, but you can't take away the fact that that's a strong save by Colby Knies and a much-needed stop to get him seeing the ball and get some confidence in this Big Ten title tilt.
Knies with the best goals against average in the Big Ten. Already touched up for 5 today by Johns Hopkins. The Blue Jays have the 1-goal advantage with a little bit more than 2 minutes remaining in the opening quarter. Dylan Folds, who hails from beautiful British Columbia, Canada, making a mad dash towards the cage. Jones turns him back. Bring it this way for an O'Keefe rocket. Darby stepped in front of that beautifully from the cage. And Foley, who was dazzling off the ground 2 nights ago, scoops this for Hopkins.
Big save by Ryan Darby. It was right at him, but it had a ton of pepper, and it almost knocked him back into the goal. That's how strong Mac O'Keefe shoots that rock. But if I'm Hopkins, my biggest concern is making sure that number 3 doesn't go off, that doesn't continue to find seams in the defense. If I'm Penn State, I got to get more guys involved. I know you want to look for number 3. He's the best shooter you have, not only on this team, but in the conference, maybe in the country. But you have got to get more guys involved, maybe dodge a little bit from the midfield and keep that Hopkins defense even more honest.
5 different goal getters for the Blue Jays. Big Ten tournament title bragging rights on the line. An automatic qualifying bid into the NCAA tournament as well. Kehoe sends that one wide as he turned the corner against Townsend. Dave Petramala said the goal was to keep it close all the way into the 4th quarter. He would have liked his team's chances. They've got the advantage now late in the 1st.
5-on-5. Robert Kuhn, long stick midi for Hopkins, stays on the field. He's off to the side. Little cat and mouse on the far side of the field, but it's 5-on-5 lacrosse right now.
Zinn pops out there. Great stop. Rebound. Williams. He scores.
Cole Williams, the garbage man. But it shows up as a goal in the paper. 5-on-5. In this era of the shot clock, goalies face a lot more shots. It's so important to make clean saves. Knies with a beauty, going down to his keister to keep it out of the cage. But Johnny on the spot, Cole Williams, couple of pump fakes, puts it in the cage, name in the paper, date for the prom. Cole Williams stepping up here big in the 1st quarter.
Williams, who had 3 goals back on Easter Sunday, a 20-9 shellacking from Penn State at home over Hopkins. The Blue Jays, none too proud of that performance. Looking to avenge it tonight. A 6-goal spree for them in the opening quarter, a 2-goal advantage on a 5-goal run. Time ticking down to 33 seconds remaining in this frame.
Hopkins showing they can go toe-to-toe with Penn State. As this game progresses, can they keep up this frenetic pace? I think this game will slow down in the 2nd quarter.
An extended draw here between Matt Naruski and Arceri, and it's Naruski who pops out of there for Johns Hopkins. Good stick check on the outside by Peck. Turns the ball over. Now Peck looks to get it to the offensive end with time dwindling in this 1st quarter. A flag down. This will go over the head, be collected by Sabia at the buzzer, ending the 1st frantic 15 minutes of play.
Going to be a delay game call against Kalmar. Didn't give the clearing defenseman 5 yards on the restart. No face-off. Here it is right here. Turnover by Marr. Watch him get up. Defender establishes position, and he does not give him 5 yards. Actually, you might get him on a slash in the back. We'll see, but no matter what the case, no face-off, Penn State ball to start the 2nd quarter.
You just witnessed the highest scoring 1st quarter in Big Ten tournament championship history. It is time now for the State Farm State of Success, and it's a pleasure to watch this man work. Grant Ament, the number 1 for Penn State.
Terrific player. He's already made his mark here in the game. He'll be the focal point of this Johns Hopkins defense. For my money, I believe Grant Ament is the front runner for the Tewaaraton Trophy. Just the way he plays, the way he gets other guys involved. The ball doesn't die in his stick. He sprays it around. He's so unselfish. If you make him a scorer, he can pinpoint you. 4 goals against Rutgers. We saw that on Thursday, but this is a special player, and it's really, really fun to watch him on this big stage.
It's been a record-setting season for Ament. If you're just tuning in, here's a summary from the opening quarter. Cole Williams scored the 1st goal and the last goal of the frame, 6-4 for the Blue Jays.
It's amazing the turnaround that this Blue Jay team has undertaken in the last couple of weeks. Of course, 2 wins against their arch rival, Maryland, will give you a ton of confidence. We'll see if they can stop this extra man opportunity for Penn State.
Long range, it was sent wide by O'Keefe. Few do in terms of stopping this extra man unit. Number 1 in the nation, an electric 62.5%. Look away. Folds, keeps it hot. Plays catch with Kelly. O'Keefe then folds to fire. He scores! Through the screen, the extra man converts.
Nice bounce shot. Lost art of a sidearm bouncer here by Dylan Folds. Nice inside-outside action. Watch Folds just kind of shade down to a better shooting spot. And then he uses the ground to skip it past Ryan Darby. I like how he looked high. His eyes looked like they were high, and he drops his shoulder and his stick. Darby, you got to be a little bit quicker when there's a tell like that from the shooter, but credit Dylan Folds with great accuracy and a nice bouncer.
22-year-old redshirt junior had the hat trick against Hopkins a couple weeks ago. Strikes there on the extra man. Matt Naruski overruns it off the draw. The ground ball comes up for Bobby Burns of Penn State in the all-white jerseys. Johns Hopkins in the all-blue ensemble. Top 2 seeds in the Big Ten men's tournament colliding at highpoint.com Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey. College lacrosse on BTN. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you. Blue Jays a 1-goal advantage. Spillane looking to change that this trip. Kelly gets to the middle, bounces and scores! Jack Kelly.
Now we're starting to see more Nittany Lions get involved on the offensive end. Great momentum shifter, not to have to face off to start a quarter. And Jack Kelly follows the Dylan Folds goal with just owning the island area, that 5x5 area right in front of the crease. That's not bad defense, but a little rocker step throws Matt Hubler off. And then when he feels Hubler, watch Hubler's body weight go one way, and then Kelly goes the other. You got to be a little bit more aggressive and protect the paint and at least get a body on Jack Kelly.
Son of Brian and Jody, born in Toronto. Jack Kelly with goals in all 11 of his games this season. Penn State's winningest year in college lacrosse history. Their 13 wins in this campaign. Number 1 ranked in the land, number 1 seed in the tournament.
Hopkins won 60% of the faceoffs in the first quarter, 6 out of 10. Didn't have to face off to begin the second period, lost the next faceoff, which led to 2 Penn State goals. Now they get a violation, and it's time to settle down and try to reestablish your offense.
DeSimone swinging to the front. Williams will trade it off, playing catch with Marr. Cole Williams, a pair of first quarter markers. Move it swiftly for Forey Smith. Back behind for Epstein. He sneaks and scores. Joey Epstein.
If you recall, a couple of years ago, Hopkins had a tremendous shooter by the name of Ryan Brown, who was equally adept at shooting with his right or his left hand. He learned to shoot in the Got Skills program out in Baltimore, and there's one of the pupils of more recent vintage, Joey Epstein. And who's better in the game at low angle, coming around the corner, goal line extended shots than number 32? This one he slips down low. Normally he likes to go for that high far side, but great mix-up by Joey Epstein and good offense by Hopkins, switching fields when they got Penn State committed to one side of the turf.
40 now for the freshman. Dave Petramala says he's a remarkable talent. He came in with such high expectations, and he's been living up to them for the Blue Jays. 7-6 on top of the Nittany Lions. Arceri pops this one loose. Arceri won 17 of the 31 in that 20-9 shellacking of the Blue Jays 2 weeks ago. There's a flag down. Penn State soon to go man up.
And it looks like I hope it's an offsides on Hopkins, and I think it is, because Kalmar then traveled over the midfield line. He also swung his stick and hit a Penn State player almost in the hip, but I think they're going to get him for the offside. Hopkins now has 7 defenders against 6 for Penn State.
Spillane off the swim. Here comes Marr to help. Ball down on the turf. And the whistles blare out as Penn State goes extra man.
Really smart play by Kyle Marr, recognizing that it was an offsides. Goes down. If you're offsides, you're offsides. You might as well go down and play defense and give yourself an advantage, which was 7-on-6, and that's good news for Hopkins, killing that opportunity. There's what I thought may have been a slash. Oh, man, that is the closest of margins. Yeah, you hit the line, you are offsides technically. Referee was right on top of it. Extra man opportunity again for Penn State.
Nittany Lions had 5 extra man goals in the semifinals against Rutgers. The first time they had 5 EMO tallies since 2010. Foles, who has the extra man goal tonight. Oh, a rifle shot from O'Keefe to the top corner. It's 7-all.
How sweet is this shooting stroke by Mac O'Keefe? Most players, when you get the stick behind you to uncork a shot, it's up top when the stick is behind your ear. Look at O'Keefe. His stick is already behind his hip when he catches it, and he delivers a dart past Ryan Darby. The efficiency of movement, the snap of the wrist, the follow-through, Mac O'Keefe. No better underhand shooter in the game.
Just devastating. He has hat tricks now in 12 of his last 14 games. Arceri often running from the face-off X, going to the goal, a weak bouncer. That's a routine save for Darby, as the Blue Jays will clear. A very high-scoring first half in this Big Ten championship game.
Super entertaining. Terrific teams. Hopkins going toe-to-toe with Penn State. This faster pace, this more helter-skelter favors the Nittany Lions, but the Blue Jays haven't backed down one iota.
Cardeal's going to try Epstein on for size. Off the exchange here, it's Baskin inverted, the midfielder below the goal line against Townsend. Baskin off the Epstein screen. Peck takes over on Baskin as Marr provides the outlet. Almost 4 minutes into this second frame. Williams, short stick defender on him is Townsend. Skip a man, Keogh, keep it hot for Marr. Epstein looks for Zinn. It's deflected down and kicked away from the Penn State goal. Goosed along by Burns and taken away by Cardeal.
Little zone right there by the Nittany Lions. Hopkins looked like they were handling it well. That skip pass, good idea, but nice defense by Penn State, knocking it down. And then again, we talked about it in the open. They are so good at getting it off the carpet, not clean, just cleanly, but quickly and up the field so fast.
Dave Petramala insisted that ground balls would be a difference maker in this game tonight. His team is so good when they win the ground ball war. They're 7-1 this year. Ament, with his defender hung up, Darby gets out there to flush him out, and Foley can recover.
A nice job by Darby to hold up Ament.
Ament working in. Foley keeps him at stick's length. The marquee matchup on the field right there. 1 in white against 8 in blue. O'Keefe marked by the short stick.
Danny Jones, in essence, was face guarding O'Keefe on the crease.
Willard. O'Keefe. And his pass will not find the target. It's a turnover back to the Blue Jays.
Good defense by Danny Jones. I liked how he got physical with Mac O'Keefe. Look at that feed across. Nice job by Tommy Wright to knock it down. And once it gets on the turf, it's a 50-50 ground ball. Watch out. My money is on Penn State.
Back to the live action with DeSimone in possession. We move towards the 6-minute mark of the second quarter in a 7-7 tie. Robbie Black keeping tabs on DeSimone. Here comes the double from Peck, who lost his balance just about halfway through the shot clock. Williams on the go. Nice feed from Marr. He snapped it wide. It'll stay Johns Hopkins ball.
Nice job by Cole Williams. You can see the unselfishness, the one more.
Epstein, so good hovering back behind the cage. Freshman of the year in the Big Ten. Forey Smith will work into the alley. Shot clock down to 20. There's a flag down against Penn State. Concannon, topside, bluffs it, then fires. Knies makes the save as Penn State goes shorthanded.
Not sure what the call is going to be. We'll wait for the official's signal. But I like that little stick fake, the little sky whammy by Alex Concannon. But how about Kobe Knies? Didn't throw him off, still tracked the ball and found it. It's interference on Nick Cardio. Look at the center of your screen, number 43. He checks the stick out of Kalmar's hand. If you're within 5 yards of the ball, that's kosher. But Cardio was not, neither was Kalmar. That's a penalty, interference on Penn State.
Blue Jays are 2 for 2 in 2 games against Penn State this season on extra man, as they settle in here with Forey Smith. Schilling working quickly. Backdoor feed. It's Concannon with a layup.
Great play by the Johns Hopkins extra man. This goal is made by looking upfield. There you're going to see Joey Epstein looking upfield. Then he finds Concannon. And if I'm Johns Hopkins, walk away after you score your goal, number 2. You haven't won anything yet. You've got nothing to chirp about. And by taunting, you're only going to draw the attention of the referee. Be careful if you're Johns Hopkins.
Concannon has a half a dozen EMO goals this season. That's tied with Kyle Marr now for the team lead, putting the Blue Jays back out in front as we near the midway mark of the second quarter.
Those are things that Hopkins has to take advantage of. EMOs, the penalties, any opening Penn State gives you.
Zinn fires. Knies takes a knee to make that save after Naruski won the draw cleanly and went to the cage.
Well, Knies is back on his game. That was a nice track. Zinn, big, tall player, about 6'1", 6'2". Got that one all the way back, and nice read by Knies. He was all over it and smothers it.
Nittany Lions clearing the timeline. We get 20 seconds to advance it over the midline. Spillane has the ball in his cross. 22-year-old senior. Yielding it here to Malone. They'll exchange. TJ delivers to Ament with the defense hung up. Snap pass, Spillane! Bullseye! The highest scoring first half in Big Ten tournament title game history continues to rack up numbers.
Fantastic motion. Watch the pass behind to X. And there's Spillane, just cutting down unmolested from up top. If you give Grant Ament this type of time to pick your defense apart, it's so hard to defend. Nice job of getting the ball to X. So many teams, when they clear the ball, especially at the high school level, when the midfielders get the ball, they stop. Get the ball down the side, get it to X. You make the defense's heads turn, distract them, get their attention, and that's when you can do those nice little alley cuts.
Spillane converts, and now Ament is 2 goals away from breaking the NCAA single-season assist record. A game that has seen 5 different tie scores. Matt Naruski right to the hoop. Sent it high after he won the draw.
We're only about 30 minutes away from Broadway, and that's where Naruski went right down the middle of that Penn State defense. I like Penn State locking down on the Hopkins attack. Make the Fogo beat you with a shot. But Naruski's had 2 shots. They've been decent. At least they've gone out of bounds, and Hopkins has been alert enough to back them up.
Baskin jogs it behind the goal line. Epstein, who's been a good shooter and distributor so far tonight, against Nick Cardio. Trying to finalize. Zinn off the split dodge. Signals crossed there with Cole Williams, and that pass is a turnover.
That's a freshman mistake. Zinn has been playing so well over the last couple of games, but that's just a forced pass to a covered guy.
Nick McAvoy picks up Ament. Ament looks across the field. Whistling drive is off the outside of the goal from O'Keefe. Darby has it in his possession for the Blue Jays.
Hopkins dodges a bullet on that one, but man, how fast does Penn State get it from A, B to C? They're right in your kitchen before you even have a chance to answer the doorbell. They are so fast and so efficient at moving that ball from defense to offense.
Masterful in unsettled situations. It's 8-8, a little more than 6 minutes with which to work in the opening half. DeSimone gets the alley. Ran out of shooting real estate. Concannon helps him out. Epstein's a long way from the cooker. Runs by Burns, feeds Marr. This one rings the crossbar. The huge rebound back to the midline. Here comes Sabia in transition. Fast break, Penn State. Sabia for Ament. Ament to the middle, jump shot. He sent it wide.
Wow. Nice job by Sabia. That could have been a 2-goal turnaround. Instead of it being a 9-8 game in favor of Hopkins, it could have been 9-8 in favor of the Nittany Lions, and heady play by Rapine to back up that shot.
Marr with a lethal shot at the other end that rang the iron and started the break for Penn State.
Between O'Keefe on the Penn State end and Kyle Marr on the Johns Hopkins end, we are being treated to two lefty rockets, two guys that can bring it with accuracy and velocity.
The old goalie in me is shivering just thinking about it. That's why emphasis on old.
That's why you keep jumping behind me.
These young men can shoot the ball. Little give and go. Forey Smith, and he places that one to the top corner.
Forey Smith, you can see the C on his jersey. He's a junior captain. He had a huge night last weekend in College Park. He was very good in the semifinal on Thursday. And watch this goal right here. He's going to get a little give and go from Joey Epstein. He pots it, upper corner. Forey Smith off ball has been terrific. A big reason why Hopkins is up by a goal.
Folks, tomorrow on BTN, don't miss the 2019 Big Ten Women's Lacrosse Tournament Championship game. Live coverage beginning tomorrow at noon Eastern from Baltimore. You'll see it right here on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Easter Sunday, just a couple weeks ago, Dave Petromala's team went to Happy Valley and they came home very unhappy. They were blitzed by Penn State 20-9. They've already got 9 tonight.
A great offensive performance. They're winning face-offs. They're playing confident on the defensive end. Penn State's getting their looks, and you're going to give up goals against Penn State. I think Johns Hopkins resigned to the fact that if they're going to win this game, it's going to be 16-15, 17-16. It's going to be a very high-scoring affair. You don't want it to go the other way because Penn State obviously has the potential to blow you out.
Mark, 4 of the last 6 meetings between these two schools decided by 2 goals or less. Glatz giving Arceria a breather, and Jake comes out of there with a face-off win.
Nice little change of pace. We saw that on Thursday in the semifinal against Rutgers. Glatz can get the job done.
The flag down. Penn State has possession.
And we saw Glatz limping off. I wonder if he was slashed coming out after picking up that ground ball. Flag is sitting on the far side of the field on the defensive end.
TJ Malone ready to go. Draw Blue Jay defenders. Floats this one backside there for Spillane. Good stick check by Colwell. O'Keefe brings it up off the turf and then gets flattened as we hear the whistle.
Again, Hopkins being incredibly physical with Penn State. Look at Glatz. Wins it to himself. And then Kuhn gets him right across the quad. That's why he was limping. Slash. Hopkins fans don't like it, but if they could see the replay we just did, they wouldn't have a problem with it.
Robert Kuhn and Kyle Marr, this is the 62nd game for them under Dave Petromala's direction. Just 2 away from the Johns Hopkins all-time record for games played. Blue Jays going a man down here against an ultra-precise Penn State extra man. O'Keefe straight away. Amen. Zips it through the seam, and this is snapped wide. Turn of the head in disgust from Nick Spillane as he had the shot he wanted.
We're sitting, what, 5, 6 stories up in the press box here at Rutgers. We can see what Grant Amon sees, but he sees it on field level before anybody on the defense can recognize where he's looking.
Snaps this one for O'Keefe. Swim move past Reinson. The Whistler coming wide of the goal again from Spillane as Darby flashed his foot. Jack Kelly's going to take it in from the side. Kelly, who had 4 goals against Hopkins in that first meeting. Ament, skip it, O'Keefe, Foles fires, and Darby eats it up down low.
Nice offense by Penn State. Great tracking on the worm burner by Darby. Not only to save it, but not to give up a rebound.
Colwell helps on the clear. Marr is there. He'll interchange with Cole Williams. Stride for stride, long stick midfielder Kevin Fox.
Well, all day, Joe, we've been having a conversation about the NCAA tournament, how it's shaping up. A lot of automatic qualifiers given out today. I think Johns Hopkins is in, regardless of the outcome of this game, based on their RPI. Strength of schedule is probably going to be in the top 3. But if they win this game, if they take home the Big Ten championship, I do think they get a home game next weekend at Homewood Field.
9 AQs, 8 at large into the NCAA tournament.
Penn State, win or lose, I believe they're a #1 overall seed.
Zinn lets it go. Does that squirt through? No. Knies keeps it away. Colby Knies with a denial. Cardeal racing back the other way for white jersey Penn State. Time ticking in this opening half. 3 minutes remaining.
Terrific goaltending on both ends of the field.
Kuhn looking after Cole Willard. Willard did not have a point in the big win over Rutgers in the semifinals. Trainer kept to the outside there by Rapine. O'Keefe bulldozing in. Rapine came quickly to Folds. Ball down. Foley had 8 ground balls against Maryland in the semis. Getting help from his buddies here on this one. Ultimately, he scoops it and rakes it ahead. Nice stick work there. All sorts of traffic on the sideline. There's a flag down.
Take your pick. It'll be a push or a trip against Penn State. Look at the emotion. Coach Petromala helping the referee out with his laundry. But look at the emotion of the Hopkins defense. We just saw that in the frame. It's a trip, so it'll be a 1 minute up to a 60-second. We weren't seeing that, Joe, a few weeks ago by Johns Hopkins. Nice little defensive sky whammy by Jack Rapine gets tripped right there. But it was after the play what impressed me. Foley, Colwell, going over to pick him up, pat him on the back, and get excited about playing lacrosse.
Jeff Tambroni looking on from the Penn State sideline. Coach Petromala said he and his mates, they all said, let's reset. Hit the reset button after the Thursday night semifinal win. Reset again to get set for this big challenge from top-ranked Penn State. 2:12 remaining in the first half, with the Blue Jays in front by 1. The lead goal, compliments of Forey Smith. Extra man out there for Johns Hopkins. This is Smith with the ball on his cross. Schilling comes off the bench. Luke Schilling is an extra man specialist. Kincannon is always dangerous. Short side fire. Knies with a good save. Rebound to the freshman of the year, Epstein. Epstein lets this one go. He scores. Epstein, who has set the freshman point scoring record tonight, adds to his totals.
It's a simple 2-2-2 by Johns Hopkins, and it's just motion with basically the 4 guys in front of the goal will just switch positions. And then Epstein is going to come from behind, and he'll take the 2-2-2 as it's now in a 2-3-1. And Epstein, the range that he's been showing the last couple of weeks. Look at that nice, snappy overhand release. He's great at just picking his spots quickly and then delivering it to that exact location.
9 hat tricks this season for the Blue Jays' leading goal scorer and point producer. Johns Hopkins' lead grows to 2. Violation against Matt Naruski. It's Penn State ball.
And another nice save by Colby Knies in tight. Both goaltenders playing incredibly well in what has turned into just, wow, I mean, 18 goals between the two. You'd think that the goalies were non-existent, but both have made quality stops.
Timeout called for by Penn State.
Timeout.
As they have possession in just over 90 seconds remaining. The Nittany Lions, Mark, having to coordinate things, adjust things defensively.
We're going to see 2 clips of Penn State in this game so far. First quarter, Cole Williams from the wing. He goes behind, watch the dodging and just ball watching by the Penn State defense. Look at that, all 6 white jerseys staring him down. They don't credit for Brett Baskin on the backside. We're going to see the adjustment by Peter Toner, the defensive coach for the Nittany Lions, and his unit. Look at the communication. Everybody's guarding and the closeouts. Look at the rotation, beautiful rotation, great ball location. Tommy Wright with the knockdown.
They often talk about recovery. Coach Tambroni's squad recovering and hustling back, getting sticks in passing lanes.
And you've got to see what defenses or what offenses are going to give you. When Cole Williams gets the ball behind the cage, he's not a feeder first. He's a dodger first. So that's why all eyes were on 14. No one accounted for Baskin on the backside. And then you could see much better communication and ball location on that last defensive sequence.
These are teams who just saw each other, 2 weeks ago, right? And Coach Tambroni says, don't over-prepare. You know, the first time you see them, you're speculating as to what you might see from the opponent. You don't have to over-prepare the second time around. All your tape work, your cut-ups, your scouting reports, they're going to stay the same for the most part.
And not only just for this Big Ten tournament, but I think Jeff Tambroni's done a much better job of not over-preparing for each and every game that Penn State has. He's told us multiple times this season they didn't handle their firsts. You know, the first win over Johns Hopkins last year. They beat the Blue Jays and they lose their last 2 conference games in the regular season, don't make the Big Ten tournament. He said, not only do my players, we preach to our players all the time, live in the moment, don't get it too big. He said, we as coaches had to step back and recognize that mindset and that approach.
Penn State blanked Rutgers in the second quarter of the semifinal game 2 days ago here at highpoint.com. There's been no keeping the Blue Jays down so far. Johns Hopkins a 10-8 leader late in the first half. Penn State in possession in the white. It's Mac O'Keefe against Danny Jones. Folds, finds Malone. Hubler is right there. Malone off the sweep.
1 minute remaining.
Hubler keeps his feet moving in the final minute of the first half. Foley helping. Here comes the double, trying to cause the turnover. Malone keeps it alive. 23 seconds to shoot for the Nittany Lions.
Great hustle by Malone to keep that ball alive.
Kelly getting downhill. The feed is a bad one. It's away from Spillane. It's a turnover to Johns Hopkins.
Well, great defensive stand by the Blue Jays. You don't see that very often from Penn State. They seemed a little off kilter coming out of that timeout. But think about Johns Hopkins. They burned their first timeout with 12:38 left to go in the first quarter, and they still have one left. I think they're going to use it right now.
They can have the last possession of this quarter if they choose. They do call time. Dave Petramala's squad, impressive in the first 30 minutes.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, when this game got to 4-1, 1-0 Hopkins, 3-1 Penn State, the timeout by the Blue Jays, then Penn State got up 4-1. You're thinking, uh-oh, this game is going to get away from Hopkins and get away fast. But credit Naruski and Prouty at the faceoff dot battling. Credit Patrick Foley, Ryan Darby on the defensive end. They've done a better job of locating Mac O'Keefe.
Blue Jays on top by 2. Cole Williams, who had a 5-point performance in the semifinals, off and running again tonight.
And I love how Bobby Benson, the offensive coordinator for the Blue Jays, is moving him around at different spots on the field, making him the dodger from up top. Look at him behind. He's typically a shooter, but again, he's got his head up. He's looking for the open man. And then how about this little 2-man game between Evan Zinn and Jack Keogh? Nice shot, beautiful save, and Williams is not going to miss that slam dunk opportunity.
Pretty good work as he has improved step by step throughout his Big Ten tournament action. Cole Williams, the Blue Jays sportsmanship honoree this season, was dynamite a year ago in that title-winning effort against the Terps.
You want your big guys to show up in big moments, and Cole Williams has been criticized, and I think fairly, this season for a very slow start. They graduate Shaq Stanwyck. Joey Epstein, in essence, becomes the quarterback. They were relying on Williams to carry the water a lot, especially for a team that had a lot of attackmen playing midfield, and they still do. But Williams struggled a lot, particularly in the early season. But as the year has gone on, especially in the biggest games, number 14 has risen to that all Big Ten status that he's achieved.
Starting to blossom now. Petramala says it's the culmination of a lot of growth and hard work. Johns Hopkins has beaten Maryland, what, 3 times in the last 365 days?
Yeah, and they had beaten them in the 4 previous meetings.
Slingshot from Epstein that sails wide. 14.8, a little bit more than that. Just about 15 seconds left in the opening half. DeSimone's going to pick it up off the end line. Defender Brian Townsend at the ready. DeSimone rolls in, looking for a passing lane. Kincannon, turn and score, Forey Smith.
Goals at the end of quarter, end of half can be huge momentum builders for the team that score and backbreakers for the defense that allow them. DeSimone, you talk about a player who's been quiet for most of the year and has quietly stepped up with some nice plays late in the season. It's good bottom to top offense, a little slide, a little too overambitious, and you got to account for the players in the middle of the field. Sabia got picked off and was trying to recover on Forey Smith, and the captain, the turn, shoot, goal for Johns Hopkins, a big one right before halftime.
The Under Armour All-American, Forey Smith, points in 9 of his last 11. Johns Hopkins opens up its largest lead on the night, just shy of the halftime break. One final face-off. Raked out of there by Prouty. Long drive from Marr will go wide as we head off to halftime festivities. The Blue Jays, seeded second in this tournament, coming in with a mark of 8-6, tangling with the top team in the land, 13-1 Penn State. And it's the Blue Jays who have the halftime lead by 3.
If you would have told me it was 11-8 at halftime and Hopkins was winning, I wouldn't have believed you. But we've got a terrific game at halftime for the Big Ten title.
Blue Jays faithful, representing the colors very well. 11-8 for Johns Hopkins. Penn State head coach Jeff Tambroni joins us. Jeff, how would you describe all the offense we just saw in the first 30 minutes? Hey, Jeff, can you hear us? The coach is apparently not hearing us at the moment. We'll beg his forgiveness and step away, get you back for first half intermissions activities. This high-scoring affair. It's Johns Hopkins on the lead by 3. 11-8, the Big Ten Men's Tournament Championship game on BTN. Three different multi-goal scores for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays in the opening 30 minutes. They carry an 11-8 lead over number 1 ranked Penn State at the half. Tomorrow on BTN, the Big Ten softball regular season concludes. We have doubleheader action. First, Michigan squaring off with Maryland. Then Northwestern tangles with Minnesota. Coverage begins tomorrow, 2 Eastern, right here on BTN and the Fox Sports app. Dave Petramala is joining us on the sideline, Johns Hopkins' head coach. And Dave, would you have expected so many goals so soon?
You know, I don't know that I wouldn't have expected them from them. They are a high-powered offense, and, you know, I thought we did a much better job in the second quarter of slowing them down a little bit. Offensively, that's helping us. We've had good, you know, long possessions that have ended with, you know, productively. And I thought we did a better job in the late second quarter defending, maybe forcing a turnover or two. But, you know, no surprise they're putting goals on the board, and I'm pleased that we are.
Coach, you're down a couple goals early. You burn an early timeout. What was said, and how did you like how the guys responded after that little break?
Well, I liked how they responded. I expected them to. They have, you know, in recent weeks. And we just said reset, take a deep breath. This is what we said they could do. We got to make sure that we just take a deep breath, get back to what our game plan, do the things that we need to do to be successful. And I don't think we were doing that early in the game.
Coach, we appreciate the knowledge. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Joe.
Dave Petramala in the moments shy of the third quarter beginning. We have time, Mark, to look at the RPI, top 11 around the land.
One of the top metrics that is used to gain entry into the NCAA tournament. Penn State, the #1 team in the country. Again, win or lose, I think they're the #1 seed going into the NCAA tournament. Yale and Penn tomorrow square off for the Ivy League championship. Virginia wins the ACC, but Johns Hopkins with an RPI at number 9. The Blue Jays, I believe, are in the tournament, win here, and they host Maryland with the quality win over Penn. Strong strength of schedule. They are hoping that the Penn Quakers can win that Ivy League championship tomorrow. And Ohio State, not in the Big Ten tournament, but still with that number 14 RPI. They're hoping that they might get a call tomorrow. But the bubble did shrink. Loyola losing last night.
Right.
That means Army or Lehigh will go to the NCAA tournament. So as competitive as ever, the at-large berths, 8 of them at stake for the 2019 NCAA tournament.
Georgetown winning today in the Big East.
Georgetown knocked off Denver. I'm not so sure that Denver has the resume or the juice to get an at-large berth. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow. High Point losing in the SoCon, 2 quality wins against Duke and Virginia, but an RPI of 20. Not sure the Panthers are going to get the nod from the selection committee tomorrow evening.
Congrats to the Richmond Spiders. They prevail in that conference. This is the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Championship game on BTN. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon shouting out thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew. Been helping us the last 2-3 days here in Piscataway, New Jersey. Highpoint.com. More congratulations to dole out. Rutgers, a very fine host for this Big Ten championship match on the men's side. Joey Epstein has the ball in his cross. Blue Jays had the last 3 goals of the first half, 4 of the last 5 to open up the 11-8 lead. DeSimone leans in on Burns. Midfielder will invert back behind the goal, guarded by Colby Canese. Off the split, DeSimone throws high for Kincannon. As they bring it on around, there's a whistle.
I think there's a ball on the field. Not sure how it got there, but Mac O'Keefe helping the referees out by sweeping it off the field.
Johns Hopkins restarts with 40 seconds to go now in the shot clock. DeSimone against Townsend. Off the roll dodge. Here comes Cardeal, who loves to attack. Kincannon with a shot clock at 20. Coach Petramala wanted no empty possessions tonight. Once they bring that shot counter down under 20, they wanted to convert. It's Epstein on the isolation. Ramming into his defender. Townsend does a nice job right at his chest. Shot clock at 4. Epstein feeds. Smith fired. It was blocked. As the shot clock expires, stout defense from Penn State.
And Penn State was aggressive but disciplined. No switches, no slides on that last sequence for the Blue Jays. I like that. Give the matchup a chance to materialize. Don't just go for the sake of going and create offense for the Blue Jays, which they did on a couple of occasions in the first half.
That graphic top of the screen just a few seconds ago showing Penn State percolating right off the outset, but they've been cooled since. 11-8 for the guys in the blue jerseys. Spillane up top. On the exchange with TJ Malone. Malone will drift back behind the cage, picked up by Hubler. Centering pass is a beauty. Ament with a stash. Grant Ament makes it a 2-goal game.
We saw Hopkins score a goal at the end of the first half with no time, virtually no time remaining. This time, I think it's poor clock recognition by Joey Epstein. Too much dancing at the top of that Penn State Nittany Lion D. And I like Grant Ament being used off ball to come in the first offensive possession. Great job by TJ Malone to get the defense crossed up. Patrick Foley has to go. Grant Ament fills the slot. Beautiful cross cage feed by Malone. And Haverford to Haverford, the dunk by Ament.
Ament, who averages better than 7 points per game this season. The only unanimous first-team all-conference selection, bags the goal to start the second half spree, and they get the ball right back thanks to face-off man Jake Glatz.
Glatz doing a great job. Again, a change up for Gerard Arceri, inner circle trained back in Baltimore. You can see he's got that strong clamp, and then he plays it, tries to spray it to if a guy's available or to himself.
Penn State has won 10 consecutive games, trailing Johns Hopkins by 2 early in the third. Kelly takes it for a ride against Coulter. Kelly with a quick feed behind the back. O'Keefe dazzling to the corner. A BTN standout presented by Auto Owners Insurance.
You knew this was coming if you were Johns Hopkins. You knew it was going to be aggressive, but you didn't know it was going to be this sweet if you're a Penn State fan. Jack Kelly, Mac O'Keefe, beautiful. Behind the back, nestles it under the crossbar. Spectacular goal by the sharpshooting junior. And Penn State has quickly evaporated that 3-goal bulge and trimmed it down to 1.
O'Keefe with his 4th marker of the night, approaching 60 goals now on the season. He has shattered his own single-season goal-scoring record at Penn State in the process. It's 11-10. Every possession critical now. Arceri bounding out of there looking for the loose ball. Kuhn helping, but it comes up for Prouty and the Blue Jays.
Big ground ball, and they've got numbers.
Kyle Prouty looking late. Zinn. Then it's Epstein with the drive. Fought off by Knies. Ball down on the deck. Great scoop by Cardeal. His bounce pass is picked up by Sabia, and away comes Penn State looking for the equalizer.
That clock stayed at 12:18 here live in the stadium. And you could tell from the clock that we have in our own Big Ten production that about 30 seconds did not go off of the game clock. I don't know if anybody, the referees or either coaching staff, has recognized the discrepancy in time.
Nice job, Mark. Now you're working overtime. Everybody put in. Ament turns the corner. Looking for the passing lane to develop against Foley, who rams him with his helmet. Spillane inverted. Picked up by Kuhn. Wearing 19 this season. Robert Kuhn, the senior long stick midfielder who wore 10 for a couple campaigns. This is a hard hit and a flag down. Scoop shot, score! Dylan Foles out of the pack.
I think it's going to be a hold against Johns Hopkins, so the foul should be wiped out. Here we're going to see the 2-man game for Penn State. Jack Kelly's going to get hog-tied. Flag flies, and Hopkins just looks flat-footed right there. 5 guys standing around looking at the ball. Nobody goes to pick up the big boy ground ball. It's on the carpet. You got to have guys going out there trying to get the ball. But look at Jack Kelly. We saw TJ Malone goose it to Grant Ament at the end of regulation last week in Happy Valley. These guys never stop. Jack Kelly on the ground, bats it to Dylan Folds. Folds picks it up, backhands it into the cage. Crafty goal by Penn State.
Coach Petramala barking his assignments. 3 unanswered for the top-ranked team in the land in just over 90 seconds.
I think the referees have now either been alerted to or have recognized that the game clock is not accurate.
Jeff Tambroni with a nod. Just under 11 minutes, as you can see on our scoreboard clock, upper left of your screen. In stadium, it says 11:21 remains in the third. Dylan Folds starting this third quarter out splendidly for number 1 ranked Penn State. They have erased that 3-goal deficit in a heartbeat. Glatz pops out of there with a face-off win. They're jumping like mad on the Penn State sideline. There's a flag down.
It's going to be at least a push or a trip against Johns Hopkins, and all the momentum coming out of the locker room, all the mojo has tilted to the guys in white.
On the dead run, Kelly shovels inside. Folds sends it high as Penn State will go extra man.
Jake Glatz putting in work. Gets his feet taken out from under him. And Penn State playing. Here's the clock from earlier in the game. You can see the face-off after the Penn State goal. It doesn't start. We're not crazy at BTN. A lot of lacrosse being played. A reset of the shot clock. Ball comes up the field again. It was about 25-30 seconds that elapsed in game time that wasn't captured on the game clock.
Someone asleep at the switch.
At least the horn didn't get stuck.
Been there, done that. Ament and O'Keefe from the top. Penn State on the extra man. Ament, skip it. O'Keefe fires. He stings the corner. The Nittany Lions have the lead back.
Just like that, Penn State has taken a 3-goal deficit and turned it into a 1-goal lead. A little bit of a 2-2-2, then it morphs in to a 2-3-1, and then just that skip pass. Perhaps no duo better at finding one another from one side of the field to the other than Grant Ament and Mac O'Keefe, and O'Keefe just stings it home.
7 times this year. 7 for Mac O'Keefe with 5 or more goals in the game. He has a handful tonight. Penn State grabs the lead back just shy of the 5-minute mark in the third. Off this draw, loose ball, push. Going to give the ball to Penn State. Grant Ament's assist total up to 77 now. He's tied the NCAA record for helpers in a single season.
Lyle Thompson from Albany, if I'm not mistaken, is that guy he just tied, and pretty elite company. But what a pleasure it is to watch both these teams selling out here tonight.
O'Keefe behind the back on the flip, crunching hit there. Snap delivery, score! Cole Willard!
Johns Hopkins looks like they're going to call a timeout. Dave Petromal has seen enough. He's got to settle his team down before this one really gets away from him. Big goal, Cole. This is basically O'Keefe with the behind the back. It's got a little too much air underneath of it. But watch Cole Willard. Skies for it. Absorbs the hit. Gets his feet. Rips it underneath the crossbar. Toughness, accuracy. Big Ten championship on the line, and Cole Willard delivers.
By reputation, Penn State, the best offense in the land. 5 straight goals to start the third on BTN. Lacrosse on BTN is brought to you by State Farm. Here to help life go right. Talk to a State Farm agent today. By Diet Dr. Pepper. It's the sweet one. And by Sector Spider ETFs, the next chapter in investing. Call 866-SECTOR ETFs. Young lacrosse fans enjoying this one. Run and gun, high scoring, and already record-setting in this championship game.
Holy smokes. I mean, microwave offense. 5 minutes, 5 goals for Penn State. Hopkins, they've had a counterpunch. Dave Petromal has talked about it all year. As we see 12 of the 13 goals scored within first 5 minutes of each quarter. But Dave Petromal has talked all year to us about when we get punched in the mouth, we've got a counterpunch. And they hadn't done a great job of that up until the last couple weeks of the season. Well, now's the time to pull out a counterpunch because Penn State is coming out of that halftime locker room with some haymakers.
He said we were forced to fight from early on in this season. Matt Naruski won the draw. Naruski could not come up with the scoop. There is a flag down. Blue Jays come up with the ball. Unsettled here. Bring it on for Williams. He and Epstein playing catch with Johns Hopkins soon to go extra man.
Looks like it's a slash against Penn State. Huge ground ball by Matt Hubler to make this a true free possession for Johns Hopkins because they score and it is a slash. Man down face-off opportunity for the Blue Jays.
DeSimone brings Black behind the cage. DeSimone settling in, rolls back in against Townsend. Concannon behind the cage. Slashing there to the front. The feet is high for Epstein. He reels it in. Cargill's right there at his hands. A one-handed pass that's picked up by Penn State as they go short-handed.
Penn State, the aggressiveness once again. Very disciplined aggressiveness, staying within themselves. But they will draw their first flag of the second half, and this is a perfect opportunity for Hopkins to get back in this game.
23. 23. 1 minute.
Watch the left side of your screen. Naruski rings it forward. It's Tommy Wright. Slash. Looked like he may have caught him. It's tough to see from that angle. I have to imagine he caught him across the helmet. Wright doesn't agree with the referee's assessment, but nonetheless, we play on.
Injured, red-shirted last year, Tommy Wright. Blue Jays settle in 6-on-5. Schilling feeds. Jump shot here for... He turns and scores! Forey Smith.
Huge goal for Johns Hopkins, and Forey Smith having a nice night. Mac O'Keefe moves off ball incredibly well with that left hand, but Forey Smith, look at him go right to that heart of the Penn State defense, and there's no rotation as they were shutting off behind the goal on Joey Epstein. So basically it's 5-on-4 in front of the cage. And oftentimes when you do that, it can throw the extra man offense out of kilter. But in this occasion, Hopkins throws the defense into a tizzy, and Forey Smith fills a slot, catches the pass, and sticks it.
Smith with a hat trick tonight. He had 2 in the semis against Maryland. Earlier this season, he had a 4-goal effort against Michigan. It's 13-12, and the Blue Jays have the ball right back.
Great look inside by Luke Schilling. Extra man specialist for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. Terrific vision finding Forey Smith underneath that Penn State defense.
Subs coming in now off the bench for Johns Hopkins. A chance for them to tie just shy of the midway mark in the third quarter. College lacrosse on BTN, the Big Ten Men's Tournament Championship game. Forey Smith feeling it now. Leaves it back behind for Cole Williams. Sabia knifes in on him. Williams getting some separation, floats it for Kincannon, who fanned on it off the top of his cross. Sabia, the hatchet man, 16 there in the white. Out of the pack comes Kyle Marr with a ground ball.
Nice slide.
Shot clock at 20. Fires, and Knies stabbed that.
The slides were great right there by Cole Williams, and it's almost, they're so big when they, even on a guy like Cole Williams, it's like they block out the sun when they come at you like that. Williams would have been better served to make the one more up top instead of trying to jam the middle, but nonetheless, decent look on cage by Mark. Beautiful save by Colby Knies.
The 12th all-time meeting between Penn State and Johns Hopkins. Penn State's won the last 2. Hopkins won the first 9. Ament off the sprint. Stopping on a dime against Foley. Ament, stick check there by Foley. Ball's free. Rapine with a quick scoop.
It's not every day you see Grant Ament get his pocket picked, and then Rapine with the clean ground ball. Nice defensive sequence right there for the Blue Jays. And you mentioned that win last year by Penn State over Hopkins. That's their first ever win against this Blue Jay program. And then they just went on a slide. They've handled the success so much better this season. But we got to remember with this Penn State team, it's baby steps. First ever Big Ten regular season title. This past Thursday was their first ever Big Ten tournament victory. This is still a team that's never won an NCAA tournament game. So while they are the odds-on favorite, one of the teams to get to Philadelphia, you got to keep that in mind.
Only 8-6 last year. Diving effort trying to reel in that pass. It comes up for Aaron Allen. Penn State has been locked in at the #1 team in the land for quite some time in this campaign. They didn't qualify for the Big Ten tournament a season ago.
I love how they've handled this success. And we asked Coach Tambroni after the game on Thursday, it's not your ultimate goal, but these are big achievements for a Penn State lacrosse program. It's been playing for a really, really long time to reach this level of success.
Under the lights here, prime time. Spillane and the Nittany Lions cross crease. Quick trigger sent there by Trainer. He missed the mark. The backup belongs to the Blue Jays.
Heady play by Foley as he was running past the Penn State attack player. Spillane to win the race out of bounds. It's a wash. They turn it over on one end, they get it back on the other.
Hubler sprints to safety. Guys in the blue jerseys down one.
They wanted an offside call. They're saying Amon's shoulder hit the line. We saw earlier an offside call against Kalmar when his foot
by a toenail
hit the line.
Fake flip there to Forey Smith. Kincannon teaming up with DeSimone a long way from the cage. Halfway through the shot clock. Blue Jays will shrink the game a little bit. Kincannon around the screen set by Epstein. All the way up top for DeSimone. Split dodge gets him a step here. A bouncer that goes wide of Knies. As there was some separation created away from Black.
Great point you make. Separation, any separation as Hopkins midfield can get to loosen things up is a win.
Epstein turns, leaning in on Cardia. Epstein going to try it again, back behind the goal. Flashing to the front, wraps it wide. DeSimone there to back up. 5 seconds left in the shot clock.
I like how Cardio just threw his stick across the chest of Epstein. He read that scouting report. He's seen it happen. He knows he's going to unleash those low-angle shots.
Loose in front off of Williams. Shot clock violation against the Blue Jays. Sabia wasting no time, sprinkling it ahead for McAvoy.
Good defensive shift for those guys in white. Good stop. And now they're back on the attack. And I like how Hopkins has responded to that 5-goal run that Penn State had coming out of the locker room, putting a couple of theirs together themselves.
Penn State rolled over Rutgers here Thursday in the afternoon. Johns Hopkins down Maryland for the second time in a week to advance to this championship tilt. Jones putting the pressure on Folds. O'Keefe fires. That laser goes wide. 3.5 remaining in the third quarter. Another shooting clinic on display from Mac O'Keefe tonight. Ament second-guessed himself there, lost the ball as he was making that feed. On the sideline, acrobatically, he scoops it for Kelly. Kelly fumbles, then recovers.
You can hear Jack Kelly yelling, goose right, he got it.
Rapine covered over the top, flag down against the Blue Jay defender. As Reinson kicks it out of bounds, should be extra man here for Penn State.
Grant Ament does a little bit of everything. Right here is when Jack Kelly's saying, goose right. He gets it. And look at Jack Kelly. This Penn State offense only knows one direction, and that's downhill. Rapine with the defense, then the collapse. He basically gets tackled down to the turf. He kept his feet moving, and that's how he drew the flag when the advantage was taken away with him being taken off his feet.
Prior to tonight, Penn State's extra man the last couple of games, both against Rutgers, by the way, 8 for 8 down the stretch. They're going extra man now with a chance to build a 2-goal lead.
But keep in mind, this is an offense on this in settled situation, shoots 40% of the team.
There's some trickery. Right to the back of the cage from Kelly, showing off. It's 14-12.
The Penn State faithful love it. Chest bumps all around on the sideline. This Penn State offense, the midfielders make a difference. Jack Kelly has really come on strong over the last 4 games. This is a player who missed the Ohio State game. He missed the Cleveland State contest. He is so smooth. He can beat you off ball. He can beat you off the dodge. And he's just a complement of midfielders that Penn State has at their disposal.
When we walked up to Dave Petromalo earlier today and asked him, who worries you, who concerns you? That's the first guy he pointed out.
Good reason.
Ament and O'Keefe for sure.
Yeah.
But Kelly from the midfield. So dynamic. Penn State outscoring the Blue Jays by a 6-1 margin in this third. They've rallied from an 11-8 halftime deficit. They have the ball.
Clock was stuck again for about 6 seconds. Matt Lickey, our producer, all over it.
Trainer advances. On a switch there with O'Keefe. Grant Ament. An assist away from setting a new NCAA single-season record. He's picked it up. in this third quarter. O'Keefe off the flip. It's buzzed high. Coulter there to defend on Willard. Trainer will choose Folds. Folds ran out of shooting real estate. 6-on-6 with 20 seconds to shoot. The inside roll, ball taken away. Foley comes out of the paint, and he's stick checked by O'Keefe.
Wow, great ride by Mac O'Keefe.
Rapine brings it back for Foley, and it should be Hubler running it to the offensive end. Flag down.
O'Keefe, that's a silly play if you're Mac O'Keefe. You really didn't have a great angle. I understand you're trying to make a play, but he was offside by a good foot or two. So a slow whistle and a free possession for Johns Hopkins.
Every flag has been hurtful tonight both ways. These two teams with brilliant precision on extra man offense. Zinn off the swim. Time ticking now with 90 seconds remaining in the quarter. Penn State soon to go shorthanded. Marr. Will finagle on the outside. O'Keefe just went across, so he'll stay there at the defensive end. Baskin. And then Epstein. Marr. With Epstein waiting, looking for the inside. There's no cut there. Baskin for Williams. Williams through two defenders. Shoots that one wide of the goal as Johns Hopkins goes extra man.
Shot clock was winding down. That's a good opportunity. Not a good opportunity, but a must-take shot for Cole Williams. Get something on the cage. You know you're going to get the ball back. This is great hustle by Mac O'Keefe. Remind you that he started his sprint from the far corner because he was hounding Patrick Foley. But at that juncture, you got to realize you really don't have a play on the midfielder going across the midfield line. You got to kind of give that up, and his momentum just carries him over.
The productivity on extra man offense you see on the screen has been brilliant for both coaches, both teams. As the Blue Jays try to end this third quarter with an extra man strike. Straight away, DeSimone. Epstein scores. That's a sweet spot for the freshman.
On the EMO, that's the third goal for Joey Epstein. The first two, he went downstairs. And this shooting stroke is reminding me a little bit of Ryan Brown. He doesn't get it as far back as the former Blue Jay sharpshooter, but the confidence and the fundamental with which he releases the ball with. If you're Colby Knies, he cheats a little bit low. His arms were low, his elbows were low, his wrists were waist level, and he can't catch up to the high heat delivered by Epstein.
Penn State was the only team during the regular season to keep Epstein off the goal-scoring sheet. That hasn't been a problem tonight for the freshman. He has 4. Hopkins is within 1, and they have the ball with 22 seconds to go in the quarter. Epstein calling for it. He has it in his cross. Down to 15 in the frame. Epstein makes the mad dash in there against Cardeal, forces that feed, and comes to the net where Knies has it, but there's a push that's going to give Hopkins one last chance.
And they do have a little bit of time to operate with, just shy of 9 seconds.
Marr, 13 in the white, off quickly to Baskin. Baskin hot puts it towards the cage and fires wide of Knies as the third quarter comes to its conclusion. Something tells me you're liking this one tonight on BTN. A terrific lacrosse game. 3 quarters complete. Nittany Lions on top by 1. In that third quarter to a 6-2 margin.
You knew they were going to come back, and they came back in frenetic fashion. And how about the production that we're seeing tonight out of Mac O'Keefe?
Record-setting, record-tying for most goals in this Big Ten tournament title game. We saw Cole Williams do it a season ago when Johns Hopkins downed Maryland. Connor Kelly's brilliance was on display all throughout 2017. Just remarkable shooting tonight at both ends of the field. And Mark, you mentioned it. Now the pressure falls squarely on the netminders, right? Colby Knies, Ryan Darby, whoever's going to bring this trophy home tonight needs some stout net minding in the fourth.
It's not so much the quantity of saves that are made in the final 15 minutes. It's the timing of them and whether or not it comes at critical moments. So a lot of pressure on Knies and Darby. It's 15 minutes to the Big Ten championship.
They scramble for the draw. Glatz is there with Magnarewski. And out of the pack, it's Penn State.
I love the flexibility of the Penn State coaching staff. You got Gerard Arceri, regarded as one of the top face-off men in the country, and he's not having a great night. The confidence that they're showing in Jake Glatz is special.
Arceri normally wins about 62%. Penn State in the white jerseys, if you're just tuning in, this is college lacrosse on BTN. Highpoint.com Stadium in Piscataway, New Jersey. Joe and Mark with you. Spillane with a sizzler, and it's grabbed nicely by Darby. Nice and clean, no rebound. Sending the Blue Jays away.
For as frenetic as this game has been, both teams perfect on clears. 50-50 at the face-offs. The ground ball battle, Penn State 26, Hopkins 25. The stat sheet as close as a scoreboard.
Kincannon dancing with it. He'll deal for DeSimone. Connor DeSimone loves to invert. He'll do so against Townsend. Halfway through the shot clock, DeSimone stalked there by Cardeal for a moment. I bet your heart skips a beat when you see 43 in white on your gloves.
He is tough.
Epstein. Little two-man game around the pick. Shot clock to 20. Epstein on the go against Cardeal. Marr looks inside. Bounding away from Forey Smith. He didn't make a clean catch. And the Nittany Lions with a defensive stop.
Tommy Wright with that ground ball. We've talked about it repeatedly. Grant Ament missing 2018 with an injury. So did Tommy Wright. And Wright back at the long stick midfield position provides a ton of experience and leadership. And as profitable as it has been on the offensive end, getting number 1 back, number 23 between the lines and down on defense has paid just as much dividends.
For sure. Malone running in against Coulter. Ryan Coulter, part of a deep short stick defensive midfield stable for the Blue Jays. Malone turns the corner. Bounce shot, he scores! T.J. Malone.
Joey Epstein, the precocious freshman for Johns Hopkins. Penn State has one just as good on the other end in critical situations. He just gets Ryan Coulter to overcommit. And once he takes him to one side of the cage and then comes back, he knows he has a step. He gets leverage and a nice overhand bouncer past Ryan Darby. Beautiful finish by the freshman.
Etched his name on the score sheet 4 times against Rutgers 2 days ago. Had a 7-goal game earlier this season against Jacksonville. Did T.J. Malone, giving Penn State the 2-goal advantage 3 minutes into the 4th quarter. Glatz and Magnarewski. And it is Glatz who comes out of there with a scoop. Getting help from Kevin Fox. It's Penn State ball.
Huge face-off, and you gotta love the tenacity of Glatz. And his wings, both wings did a good job. They kept the pressure off the face-off men, and Glatz just gutted out a 50-50 ground ball.
Glatz only took 2 face-offs the first time around when these two teams met back on Easter Sunday. That one-sided 20-9 decision for Penn State. Trainer not able to sky to keep that one. It's a turnover back to the Blue Jays. Hopkins now trying to carve into the deficit. Penn State has 7 of the last 9 goals on the board. In the running score to take a 15-13 advantage. Keogh directing traffic. Baskin joining him off the sideline. Brett Baskin, whose father Glenn played at Maryland. Knifing to the net here, quick trigger. Evans in with a bullet.
The Penn State defense was extending way out. They give you no quarter. Check this freeze frame out. That's 20 yards from the top of the restraining box, 5 yards from the midfield line. Evans in, uses his speed. Look, he just gives a quick glance over his shoulder to see where the defender was. Robbie Black, he realizes he's got a little bit of space, and I talked about this on Thursday, the uncanny resemblance to Jim Busick, a North Carolina midfielder back in the early 90s. They wear the same number, they have different shades of blue, but his closing speed reminds me a lot of that Tar Heel legend.
Zinn, so athletic. Didn't have a point in the semifinal. Gets a critical goal there to bring Hopkins within one. Penn State gets possession off the ensuing faceoff. We have 10 minutes and change remaining in the Big Ten championship game.
How about the freshmen showing up? TJ Malone on one end, Evan Zinn on the other. I think Zinn's increased minutes have really got a shot in the arm for the Johns Hopkins team over the last couple of weeks.
Malone against Hubler. TJ Malone carrying his cross in the right hand. Gives for Ament. Ament playing hide and seek. He's got his defender hung up. Already there to flush him out. Colwell picks up Ament. Skip a man. There's Folds. Folds to the alley, didn't pull the trigger. Malone. Thought about the question mark. Skip it for Ament. He says, let's slow the tempo.
I love Darby, the way he plays angles. It's the second time he's flushed Ament out of a hung-up situation.
Shot clock at 20. Jones on Ament. Ament lowers the shoulder, turns, fires it. Grant Ament would not be denied.
He's known as being a passer amongst the game's legends like Lyle Thompson from Albany and Steve Moreau from UMBC, but he cycles off onto a short stick, and Ament likes the matchup. He knows the shot clock is winding down a little bit. Look at the physical nature of both Danny Jones and Grant Ament. But if you're Jones, there's no reason to go over the head right there. No reason whatsoever. Don't chase stick, move feet. He created the opportunity for Ament, and a player like Grant, you make a mistake like that, it makes you pay.
16-14 Nittany Lions. An offensive squad that averages 17.3 goals a game. That's number one in the nation. Hovering around that seasonal average right now in this back and forth affair.
This game does remind me of the Yale game where Penn State lost by a single score, but that was a game where T.D. Erlin won 90-95% of the faceoffs. So Penn State didn't have the ball as much as they had tonight, but just, you got to bully in the schoolyard. You got to go toe-to-toe, and that's what Yale did up in New Haven. That's what Hopkins is doing right here in Piscataway.
Epstein takes the flip. Cardeal is right there at his hands. Kincannon zooms it up top for DeSimone. Blue Jays trailing by 2. This sharp angle bid, shrugging at it, was Knies. New shot clock will come Hopkins' way.
Great save off his right shoulder. Resets the shot clock. And there we saw the little bit of unconventional play of Knies using his body to make a save versus getting his stick up there.
Just past the 6-minute mark in the fourth. Kincannon in close quarters with Marr. Williams, who's been quiet lately, going to the goal. Stopped there by Knies. Williams in with a hustle. Will keep it in possession of the Blue Jays.
Hopkins getting some good looks.
Williams did all of his damage in the first half. Driving in from the outside, it's Forey Smith with Marr. Kincannon turned back by the long stick midfielder, Tommy Wright. DeSimone against Burns. On the inside roll, here comes Cardeal.
Cole Williams primarily on the inside here in the second half, particularly on this possession. I think he's a little tired. He was grabbing his knees on the last time that Hopkins was on D.
Epstein sprints right into the double team. The teeth of it there. It's both Sabia and Wright with a takeaway.
Hopkins couldn't use a timeout right there because they already burned one early in the second half. Excuse me. Had they taken that to save possession, Dave Petramalo would have been out for the last 7.5 minutes of this game.
Look at this. A bad pass. Wow. Going to give the ball to Johns Hopkins halfway through the fourth.
Miscommunication. I wonder if Ryan Coulter said, hey, here's your help, and the Penn State player heard someone behind him and just blindly threw it.
Jeff Tambroni's team in a tight battle at the end of the regular season against Rutgers, a game they eked out in the final minute. Coach said it was good to have that kind of game. We weren't at our best, but it forced Penn State to look at itself. And did they ever recover nicely in the semifinals? Drive here from Zinn as he snapped it high.
I don't know if you want to keep poking the bear like that, playing Evan Zinn 20 yards outside the restraining line. He's shown the ability to run by you, and the slides can't match his speed. But great point you make about Rutgers standing up to Penn State in State College. That was a wonderful game.
Tough angle bid there off the frame of the goal. New shot clock for Johns Hopkins. Time's wasted now in the fourth quarter. It's a 2-goal deficit for the guys in blue. Williams lowering the shoulder, draws the flag. Williams turns, gets underneath on Sabia. Great recovery, though, by the Nittany Lion defender. As they swarm, Penn State's going to go a man down, at least.
2 flags, and it's going to be 2 separate fouls. Good things happen when Cole Williams has the ball in his stick. And I like how he came off the crease to become an initiator versus an observer.
Number 43, White, a push, 30 seconds. 2 players, 30
So it'll be
seconds.
6-on-4. Hopkins with a 2-man advantage for up to 30 seconds. Williams is just such a matchup nightmare. Sabia just gets him a little bit around the neck area, and then with a flag down, even if it's loose, when a flag is down, if there is a technical foul, that is a flag situation. So Hopkins 2 men up.
It gave Coach Tambroni a headache, as has the Johns Hopkins extra man unit. A perfect 5 for 5 tonight. Bring it this way, Marr. 1 more for Kincannon.
Great rotation and recovery by Penn State, Tommy Wright.
Epstein sizzles and scores again.
This goal is made by the unselfishness of Kyle Marr. He made a pass down low to Kincannon. That was a great recovery by Tommy Wright. And the discipline to switch fields quickly. Get that Penn State defense rotating over, and they can't get to the EMO dynamo here tonight with that shot. Feet planted high to high. Beautiful delivery by Epstein. And Jeff Tambroni, none too pleased with the officials.
Epstein, 5 goals tonight. He had a 5-goal game earlier against Virginia and against Rutgers in the regular season. 4 of his 5 tonight on extra man. Glatz pops the face-off loose, but it's the wing play of Zinn that gets the ball for the Blue Jays, who trail by 1.
Kyle Marr is a shooter. And for him to get that ball in that spot and to give it up in this big game shows he's bought in to what Hopkins is after. And that's going to be a change of possession. I'm not quite sure what happened.
Zinn close to the crease.
Potentially.
Evan Zinn has taken matters into his own hands and Cross in this fourth quarter to try and separate on sweeps and mad dashes to the goal. In this instance, it's Penn State ball with 5.5 to play.
Did you see that one-handed grab by Nick Spillane? Wow, that was impressive.
Whole lot of talent on the field tonight.
Whew.
Big Ten championship game in the men's tournament. Women's tournament action comes your way tomorrow on BTN. 16-15 for the top team in the land in the white jerseys. Spillane on the ball, picked up by Hubler. Around the screen from O'Keefe. Spillane fires. Darby made the save. Rebound for Donnelly straight away. Inside Folds. Around the back, he scores! Dylan Folds.
It would have been a perfect ending, and Nick Spillane would have been able to pot this goal. But he takes the shot. Beautiful save, Ryan Darby. Look at Donnelly. The composure. Flicks it inside, and Dylan Folds behind the back. Lower corner. The Canadian gets Penn State back up by a deuce.
Find him inside. He knows what to do with it as the fourth quarter continues in a moment. Season number 5 of Big Ten Conference play, and there can be only one championship game winner. The championship game on the men's side, dominated by both Maryland and Johns Hopkins. And we have seen some spine-tingling performances in the past. Tonight, a record-setting, high-scoring game, 17-15 in pursuit of the Big Ten championship plaque. And how about these performances for Messrs. Epstein and O'Keefe?
Epstein, the Big Ten Freshman of the Year and first team All Big Ten choice. Mac O'Keefe, likewise, first team All Big Ten. They both do so many different things for their team in different ways, but both are having special championship games that we will remember for a very long time.
5 minutes on the button in this fourth quarter. It's a 2-goal lead for Penn State after a remarkable behind-the-back goal from Folds. Blue Jays need possession here. Matt Naruski came out with a draw, and it's belonging to Johns Hopkins. On the wing, Kuhn was attacked, though. Stick check from Kevin Fox. They fight for it. The officials heard the timeout called by Johns Hopkins, and they get it.
Look at this effort. Fox, get that butt end of Robert Kuhn, but Kuhn is not going to give up. He's going to fight, keep Fox away from the ball. Look at Cole Williams. He saved it, but Coach Petramala can't see that far across the field. He realizes that this is a critical juncture. Down 2 goals with the potential to lose possession. Burn that last time out, keep it, save it, and let's attack.
Every time we're fortunate enough to see Penn State work on BTN, we comment about the playmaking ability of their number 1, Grant Ament.
He's sensational, and he hasn't disappointed here tonight. Missed 2018 with a foot injury. Teams have tried to make him a scorer the last couple weeks, and he'll happily oblige, but his main bread and butter is spreading the rock, getting assists, beautiful vision. No one is a better passer in college lacrosse than Grant Ament, and he's told us on several occasions that missing last season, he is able to see the game a little bit better from the sideline versus being on the field, and it slowed down for him.
Grant Ament setting the single season mark for assists tonight. Did so on that spectacular Kelly turn. Wouldn't you think that Grant Ament and Chris Sabia would want to play at Lincoln Financial Field? A couple of Philly area guys, should they make their way and navigate their way through the tournament?
In essence, a home game for these two. There you see Ament smiling, is always having fun out there, and breaks the record that was held concurrently with Lyle Thompson of Albany and Steve Morrow of UMBC. How about the Retrievers, America East champions, going back to the NCAA tournament?
4.5 minutes with which to work. Blue Jays in come-from-behind mode. Dave Petramala, all he asked for was a close game in the fourth. He has it. Now can his team reel in the Nittany Lions? DeSimone fires. He sent it wide. Knies seemed to see that well from the cage.
A little bit of a cat and mouse. They're looking to shut off DeSimone, and they did until he was able to get free with a pick.
Epstein flying in against Cardeal.
So it's 5-on-5. DeSimone behind the cage for Hopkins, being shut off by Bobby Burns.
Marr flips it out there wide. Epstein a long way from the goal. Cardeal there to track him down. Epstein missed it from a severe angle. Trying to manipulate this Penn State defense now are the Blue Jays. DeSimone will restart it. 18 seconds on the shot clock. DeSimone turns back. Well defended there by Burns. Williams against Sabia. Sabia, the Big Ten Defender of the Year, blocked that shot beautifully. And out of the pack comes Arenal.
Huge ground ball, and how about Penn State out of timeout? The shutoff on DeSimone, and they switch the matchup. Cardeal has been guarding Cole Williams all night, but the Big Ten Defender of the Year gets the assignment, wins the battle.
Now the Nittany Lions look to possess the ball. 60 seconds on the shot clock. 3:10 in regulation. 17-15 for the guys in the white jerseys.
You do the math, we're coming up on 3 minutes and 50 seconds left on the shot clock. So Penn State, if they'd like to, can hold this thing and milk it down to 2:20, 2:15 before they attack.
Hubler running with his man, TJ Malone, who's been acrobatic at times tonight. Off the split dodge, the feed. Kelly gets inside, he sent it high as Darby stepped off of his line to challenge. 2.5 to go. Shot clock at 18. Malone's in no hurry now. Gonna sprint there. Feet over the top. O'Keefe moves it. Kelly bulldozing inside. The bouncer that goes wide. Shot clock at 5.
See what Penn State elects to do. If Ament may hold it and just dump it in the corner, or if he's going to try to whip it in front of the cage. I think he's going to dump it in the corner.
Ament floats it to the far corner. Shot clock violation against Penn State. Johns Hopkins had the 11-8 lead at the halftime break. Penn State with a raucous third quarter. Sabia a few moments ago with a brilliant defensive stand.
He knows he has the stick in the offhand of Cole Williams. Didn't allow him to come back left. Just pushes him out. Textbook defense. Great footwork. Great push and thrust without cross-checking.
Do the Blue Jays have any fourth quarter magic left? 1:48 to go. Zinn off the split, drawing too early.
I like this. I like Zinn, but he's got a pole now. They're not messing around with a shorty on him.
Baskin from the angle. Stopped there by Knies. Penn State looking to clear 90 seconds away from a Big Ten championship game crown.
Not in love with that shot by Baskin. I thought he could have gone underneath of his defender and gotten a better angle with his left hand.
Penn State, winners of 10 straight, perfectly clean against Big Ten opposition this season. 70 seconds left.
Jeff Tambroni still has both of his timeouts remaining.
Nittany Lions playing some keep away. Ray Pine comes out there to help Zinn on the double. Ball is lost to the Blue Jays.
Surprised he didn't use one right there. Man trapped in the corner being double teamed. And now the clock continues to run, and it should have stopped. Hopkins just lost about 5 seconds.
Zinn trying to make up some time as he snakes his way ahead. Getting late, especially late in the fourth.
That clock went from 57 seconds to 52 before it was restarted.
Epstein says, follow me right to the cage. He scores. Epstein's 6th of the game.
Wow. Joey Epstein showing no fear. Again, this was after the clock continued to run when the ball went out of bounds. The defensive Cardeal, that's the change in matchup. Cardeal had been guarding Williams, Sabia, Epstein. Epstein's been an extra man dynamo here tonight. There he just steps in on the defensive Cardeal, lowers his shoulder downhill and delivers a high-to-high rocket.
And Coach Tambroni with an emphatic, I would like a timeout, please. As he chats with the officials. Just over 30 seconds remaining in the fourth. Both coaches giving the officials an earful.
We've had clock issues all night tonight.
We have. We have, and we've seen it.
Yeah, at least 3 different occasions. Twice where the clock didn't start, and then once where the clock should have stopped and continued to run. At the end of the day, it probably all balances itself out, but it's not a good look for the officiating crew. You got to be aware of the clock, and the refs have a ton on their plate. They got to pay attention to the shot clock, game clock, on-field action. This is where somebody in the box might be helpful to say, hey, this is what's going on. You got to have that CBO, the chief bench official, to help out with timing issues. And again, instant replay for timing situations aren't used until the NCAA tournament.
It's a 1-goal game. The Blue Jays have won 6 of their last 8 1-goal decisions. Have a look at the time clock.
Yeah, again, the ball goes out around, okay, 58. And then it just runs. That's the actual game clock, and it's not. That was a good, what, 6-7 seconds that went off the clock.
Both coaches, fourth throughout. For the moment, Coach Tambroni's squad, the #1 ranked team in the land, has the lead and an enormous face-off to come.
Well, they've added 2 seconds to the game clock. And you want to talk about the biggest face-off of the game, ladies and gentlemen, here it comes.
Interesting, too. Matt Naruski against Jake Glatz.
Yeah, the 2 backups, quote-unquote.
It's a tight face-off story tonight, as you can tell. 34 seconds remaining. Epstein, the freshman, with 6 goals, setting a Big Ten championship game record. Here we go. It's loose. Zinn comes out of there with it. Full sprint to the cage. Blue Jays need it. Fire and score! Epstein cannot be stopped. This game is tied.
The Blue Jay faithful love it. The sideline erupts, but hey, we still have 23 seconds left to play. Freshman to freshman. Evan Zinn. Watch my swagger. Big boy ground ball. Get out of trouble. Sprint down the field, and Epstein just steps in. I think he fooled Colby Knies with that shot. He's been going far post from that position most of this game. This time he basically shoots it right 5-hole at Colby Knies, and he was leaning to his right. Can't catch up to it.
That young man has made himself a living from that spot tonight. 7 goals on the board, 17 all. 21 seconds to play. Back to the face-off X. Coming out of there, it's Matt Naruski for Johns Hopkins. They'll have the last chance in regulation. Hubler going right to the goal. Hubler fires. Knies made the save. Loose ball in front. Crease violation against Johns Hopkins.
Penn State with a timeout left. Now
Hubler had a great look. Knies thwarted him.
Now, again, I believe the game clock ran. Again, the game clock ran when it should have been stopped.
Big man pacing on that sideline. Timeout called. 17 all late in the fourth.
Hopkins with the late field goal. Here we go again. Timing issues. Hopkins, no timeouts left. They've got to go. How about Matt Hubler? Why not? And Colby Knies, what a save. Hubler's in the crease with about 11.4 seconds left to go in the game. Watch it again. I love Hubler. Go down, shoot. Colby Knies tracked it. He's in the crease. Good call by the refs. And it looks like they're putting 10.4 seconds left on the game clock here at highpoint.com Stadium.
Hubler, who had goals earlier in the season against North Carolina and Syracuse, was looking for a potential game winner there. Penn State, winners of 10 straight, in a terrific matchup with Johns Hopkins tonight, all the way down to the wire. You look at these teams and how they've squared off with respect to regular season rematches and then seeing each other again come tournament time.
Who could forget those epic battles of Maryland and Hopkins, Ohio State and Hopkins, and now you got Penn State and the Blue Jays. Here's a situation. Ball on the defensive end of the field for Penn State. 10.4 seconds left. We've already talked about it all night. Getting it from defense to offense is pretty darn fast and accelerated for the Nittany Lions. Remember the rule. If the ball leaves the stick before the clock hits zeros, that's a lot to remember here in this game, especially with all the timing issues. Hopkins needs to be aware right here.
Sabia launches it, Mark, all the way to the goal. Look out! Darby made the save. Rebound at the line! Just kept away.
Oh, my goodness.
Everything you could want in a lacrosse game tonight.
We've had it. The Hail Mary almost answered. Sabia to O'Keefe. Darby with the incredible save. I think play was stopped because Jack Kelly was in the crease.
As the horn sounds, ending 60 minutes. We will go to sudden victory in the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Tournament. Look back on the last 10 seconds, a white-knuckling 10 seconds.
The desperation Hail Mary. Look at O'Keefe, not only to catch it, but to get a quality shot off. And Ryan Darby with the save. And it looks like Jack Kelly may have pushed it into the cage, but he's laying in the crease. And him in the crease kills it before the ball goes in the cage.
He said as he was blowing the whistle, that horn went. That obviously can't be right. 2.9, and we go all the way back to goal line extended. 2.9, goal line extended. Wait for it, please, thank you.
Tell the officials frustrated with the timekeeper as that game ended prematurely, according to referee PJ Colillo. So we'll have, in essence, about 3 seconds in what Hopkins had to defend against. Now this is going to be a live ball coming down to Penn State. Can't hit an offensive player and go in the cage to be a good goal, but can deflect off of a defensive player.
Foley launches it ahead on one big skip. It'll roll wide, and we will now conclude 60 minutes of regulation time. A cheer from the Penn State head coach. A glare from the bench boss inside. Epstein, the fabulous freshman, 7 times he has scored tonight, including the game-tying tally. And we will go to sudden victory in Piscataway.
What an incredible lacrosse game. Penn State, the favorite, #1 team in the nation, coming out, jumping out to that 4-1 lead. Hopkins fights back, takes an 11-8 halftime advantage, only to be blitzed in the first couple minutes of the second half, fall behind 13-11, and it has been back and forth, nip and tuck ever since. What a classic Big Ten championship game here in 2019.
Johns Hopkins has won 7 of its last 10 overtime games. They lost in 3 overtimes in Baltimore to Maryland in the regular season tilt last year. Penn State rolling right along this season, perfect at Panzer. 4-1 on the road, 3-0 in neutral sites. Had a 17-15 advantage late in the fourth, did not hold on, and we go to extra time.
Both coaching staffs have to be incredibly proud of how their teams have battled. We talked about goaltending being key here in the fourth quarter. How about the save by Kneiss on Matt Hubler, and then Ryan Darby with the spectacular stop on Mac O'Keefe on the other end. Holy smokes.
Only Johns Hopkins and Maryland have won the Big Ten tourney. Prior to tonight, Penn State would like to join the party in the next few moments. They're leaning heavily on Colby Kneiss in the cage.
Naruski has had success getting it out the front door. He's taken 2 or 3 shots in this game. We'll see if he's able to do that. Glatz has had success with clamping and spraying it out to the wings.
A facility that has treated the Blue Jays very well in the past. 3 of their national titles have been won inside this facility. 1987, the last of which, and Dave Petromalo was playing those days for the Blue Jays. Glatz for the win of the draw, going right to the cooker. Fought off Penn State's first 6-on-6.
How about Glatz winning it out the front door and almost winning it for his team? Beautiful job. Changes up.
The best offensive team in the land has the first crack at it in overtime. Malone. Roll dodge. Drawing 2. Feed it up top. O'Keefe. Score! O'Keefe brings the curtain down on a classic. All hail Penn State. 14-1 and Big Ten tournament champs.
What a lacrosse game. An absolute classic. A pleasure and a privilege to call this game. We've talked about it all game long, how Mac O'Keefe off the ball never stops moving. And Hopkins, I thought the slide on TJ Malone, who's burnt them in the third or the fourth quarter with some inverts, they had to go, and that threw the Hopkins rotation off a little bit. And it's typically Grant Ament finding O'Keefe on the backside. This time it's the freshman, TJ Malone, and O'Keefe did not miss.
A brilliantly well-played lacrosse game. Dazzling from the offensive perspective. 35 goals shared between these two, and yes, well worth your applause. O'Keefe's 6th on the night. Finishes it. Mac O'Keefe will be the MVP of this Big Ten tournament.
As well he should be, but this was a complete team effort on a night, and Penn State's going to win this way when teams get the click offensively, and they'll give you opportunities to score goals. But Knies with the save against Hubler, Ryan Darby, the save on O'Keefe at the end of regulation, as well as a save on Glatz, but he can't stop this one. Here we're going to see the invert, and Penn State has been having success with this all night. TJ Malone changes direction, watch the quick slide, and no one account. You actually had two guys open on the backside, Kelly and O'Keefe. Malone gets it to O'Keefe, and he drills it home. Low-to-low offering that stings the lower corner, and Penn State has got their first Big Ten tournament title.
O'Keefe, a career-high 9 points when it's all said and done. When this one nestles in the twine, that familiar sidewinder release, blowing it past Darby, and then a sea of white there to greet him.
Colwell was just waiting to slide, and he comes over, and the check was too big as well, meaning it was a big chop down on TJ Malone, which meant he couldn't really recover. Watch Colwell. He's kind of in no man's land right here. He's going to step over. Hubler is beat, so not a bad slide, but then the big check, and he doesn't lift. Right there, if I'm number 16 in blue, I'm lifting because Malone is out of shooting position. He's heading upfield. He's become a feeder at this stage. And what a look. And how about that? Wow, it looked like, I think it was Robert Kuhn, almost got a piece of that. Just missed it, and O'Keefe knew what to do with it once he got it in his stick.
A couple years ago, he had 8 against Villanova. This year, he had 7 against Stony Brook. And at the most opportune time,